I'll begin with this question to you, Sanjay, before I come to NICE, and this is a very important occasion, important platform, and what you're doing, what NICE is. But before we talk to people about NICE, I want to understand from you, Sanjay, you've been in the startup ecosystem, Indian entrepreneurship ecosystem. Why haven't we seen in India businesses, when we travel across the world, or maybe just in India itself, why haven't we seen large consumer businesses, brands which leverage Indian culture, Indian heritage, all the learnings that we have as a country?
Yes, I think it's a very, very good point, Shraddha. And it's also, it's a tragedy at one level. It's a reflection of reality on the other, right? So what is the tragedy? The tragedy is exactly like you said. We don't see those brands. We don't see those big businesses, right? That's the outcome of the reality. And what is the reality? The reality is that, we are a country that has eschewed entrepreneurship for a long time. Making money was considered not quite the right thing to be doing. So being an entrepreneur for various socio-economic, cultural reasons wasn't considered the right thing to do versus, let's say, taking up a government job or working for an MNC or going abroad for higher studies, right? That was the dominant narrative of our times. It's only the last, I would argue, 20, maybe 25 years that the narrative has started to change, where educated young people have decided to pursue entrepreneurship as a means of a living, as a means of exercising their choice, right? And that again has happened because of success of Indian entrepreneurs, whether it's in Silicon Valley, the few successes that began in the 90s with India World, with the Satyam acquisition, then Deep Kalra starting in 1999, right? Just imagine, it's 21 years old, right? So, and then of course, Naukri and so on. These are all companies that were born in the late 90s, right? So, and then the 2000 thing happened, and then we've got the new phase of entrepreneurs, right? The demographics are changing. Indian economy is becoming more, let's say, aware, more, our per capita income is going up. There has been a change of rules, regulations, etc. So India is becoming more of a market. So if you are not a market in and as of yourself, it is impossible for you to build products, right? I can't imagine what a consumer in America is going to do and design the product sitting here. There was lack of capital. That was like a big problem, right? Now that capital problem is slowly getting solved with more and more money being available. The value chain of capital, right from angel through to IPO to post IPO access to whether different classes of capital is now coming into place. And therefore, so you've seen a situation where the funding value chain has changed, where you have clear segmented pools of capital for different classes of companies across different sectors. Second, the Indian economy is also very clearly emerging as a market in and as of itself. There's a rising consuming class. Third, all the regulations are helping. GST, for example, for all its faults, is still helping people drive this. Formalization of the economy is happening. Fourth is things like the digital India and the India stack, etc., is helping people up with the digital rails that reduces friction, whether it is investing into mutual funds or making digital payments, or whether it's for social benefits like DBT, etc., etc. All of this is happening. So India is an economy and a society in a state of flux, right? And now, given, if I were to think about it starting today, forgetting the past, and I were to project, what will I see? These changes will only accelerate, right? With more and more integration, more technology-enabled abilities to do things, right? A far more educated, aware, confident, savvy young Indians emerging into entrepreneurship, right? Just look at the profiles of our entrepreneurs today. From Flipkart that started in 2007, or a Bhavish and a Funny and like that, all are youngsters, right? When they started. Now to think that Flipkart itself is 13 years old, right? Look at the exits that are happening, right? It shows the attention that overseas big investors are putting into India. The fact that Reliance Jio raised $20 billion is not just because it is Reliance and Mukesh Ambani. It is because of the size of the opportunity. If the opportunity didn't exist, that money would not have come in, period, right? And that $20 billion was 40% of India's FDI for last year. Just imagine. So all of these show that there is fundamental change happening on all the parameters that I talked about, right? Whether it's technology, regulation, market, the new demographic, et cetera, right? And that is why it is important that we use this to be able to build a similar narrative, like it happened for IT and tech startups, for the cultural startups to emerge and grow and become successful businesses, right? As they say, right, there's a season and there is a reason for everything. It does not, so things have to align. And I believe that the alignment is happening now, right? And it will play out over the next few years. And therefore, over the next few years, we put in place the building blocks. And then, the NICE initiative will have the big legs to be able to take the giant strides forward, right? You have to put the foundations in place. See, typically, and I say this to a lot of people, typically the way we work in India, we spend minimum amount of time on system design and maximum amount of time in tweaking, whether it's our tax policy, whether it is our startups, everything. Whereas in the West, they spend maximum time on the system design. What will it look like? How will it work? How will the user interact, right? All of those things. And execution happens ruthlessly and very, very quickly with the ability to make changes on the fly, right? That is that mindset that is critical. And, and therefore, if we are able to build that foundation, which I call as the institution, with all the governance, with the processes, with the right people, with the structure, with the capital, et cetera, the rest of it is the easier problem to do. It's not like, and I'll give you a, example. You call a plumber in India or an electrician, some random guy with a pair of pliers and a screwdriver in his hip pocket will land up. You have no clue what this guy can do, what his background is, how competent is that individual to do anything, right? Because it's not a system design issue. It is just a band-aid for that particular problem. The fuse has blown, therefore this fellow will come and do it. That's all. You understand? It is that mindset. And good news is, even in India now, we are thinking in terms of systems, of institutions, right? Now, I can talk to you about what I know, which is really, things like our digital rails is creating an enabling system. So it doesn't matter who you are. You can be a poor person, you can be a rich person. You get the same access and the same benefit. So typically, in any business, Shraddha, there are two vectors along which you have to build. One is access. Second is usage. If I minimize the costs of both, things will explode, because you have all the necessary ingredients, right? And therefore, what I'm seeing now in India is that both of these, the usage side as well as the access side is happening. The usage is happening because of the institutionalization, formalization, and the digital rails. Access is happening because India is becoming a market, and the cost of access, the cost of outreach, the cost of transactions is all coming down dramatically. And therefore, more people will be a part of this, right? And that is why I believe that this is the appropriate time.
Yeah. And Sanjay, and in that context, I want to understand about NICE.
Yeah.
And then tell us about NICE before we'd like to understand, and we also want to understand what got you excited to do this at this point of time.
Wonderful. So let me first tell you about NICE itself. Thereafter, I'll tell you about how I got excited. So NICE, as Kiran mentioned, is a Section 8 company, meaning a not-for-profit entity, right? That was legally set up last year. Right now, we have a board of advisors that we have set up. So there are 6 people on our board of advisors. Their goal is to make sure that we remain true to the cause, which means our governance, our system, and they'll review what we are doing and making sure that we are not straying from what we said we would do. Has 6 very eminent people. They are, number one is Srini Raju, who is the chairman of iLabs Group. Is part of the Indian School of Business, etc., etc. There is Jerry Rao, who is a well-known ex-banker and entrepreneur and scholar. There are 2 ambassadors we have. There's Ambassador TCA Rangachari, who was a former ambassador to Algeria, France, and Germany. Brings enormous experience on propagating diplomacy, soft power, culture, etc. There's Ambassador Preeti Saran. She was the ambassador to Vietnam and is now on the United Nations ECOSOC group. And then there is Dr. V. Anant Nageshwaran, well-known columnist for Mint and is on the Prime Minister's Economic Advisory Council. And finally, there is Professor Rishi Krishnan, director at IIM Bangalore. So this 6-member board of advisors will make sure that we remain true to what we have claimed. Then we have also set up 6 members, which is of Industry Experts Council. NICE will focus, the whole field of culture is actually infinite. And, one can't boil the ocean, right? Which is an old saying in the VC business. So what we decided to choose 5 sectors. The sectors are health and wellness, food and beverages, fashion and accessories, home decor and furnishings, and experiential tourism, right? These are the 5 sectors we said we will look at deeply and focus on. And our goal is to have experts, industry experts from each of these 5 verticals. Okay. So as of now, we have Saugata Gupta, who is the managing director of Marico, brings enormous background in FMCG, brand building, supply chain, understanding how the consumer mind works and so on. We have Rajiv Vasudevan, who is the founder CEO of Ayurved Hospitals, which is India's largest chain of such hospitals. Then we've got the third person that we have is Rashmi Shukla, who heads Jaipur, which is part of Aditya Birla Retail and Fashion. Then we've got Chef Sanjeev Kapoor, who's just come on board for the food and beverages part. There is Shiva Devi Reddy, who is the founder CEO of GoCoop, which is a platform for artisans, craftspeople, and so on. And the 6th person we have is Anchal Jain. Anchal Jain is the faculty co-chair of creative and cultural lifestyle businesses at IIM Ahmedabad. He is also the founder of a consulting firm called Valmore, right? So these are the 6 people. On the board, we just invited Ravi Narayan, who you may know, right? T-Hub, TIE, etc. So he will be joining the board as well, along with Kiran and myself and Ravi Mantha, who's a serial entrepreneur, investor, and so on. Then we have what we have created, what is a NICE community or a Friends of NICE, which is basically well-wishers consisting and of investors, industry experts, domain experts, service providers, and others who kind of resonate with the idea. So they've all joined to be part of all of this, right? And then we are forming partnerships with the likes of, TIE Bangalore, CWE, and so on. So all of that is what we have been able to do in the last 2 months or so. And now, as we get ready, we want to launch the website, which will happen in the next week, over the next week. Thereafter, we will have our first program for entrepreneurs from the cultural economy, those who are running businesses or who want to become successful cultural entrepreneurs. The program is called Arohana, which means climbing to an ascent, right? So you ascend and become on the journey of entrepreneurship. And this is basically a 3-month program where we will provide all kinds of interventions to entrepreneurs free of charge as they participate on various aspects of business building, whether it is raising money, whether managing teams, whether it is marketing, whether it is how do you motivate yourself, how do you dovetail into supply chains, various aspects, right? Obviously, it's not, the end all, but it's the first set of interventions that we intend providing. And this will happen over 3 months.
Sanjay, I have to ask you here, how can entrepreneurs apply for this? How can people apply and reach out for this?
They need to come to the website. So the calendar will be put up there. So all the details of the calendar, which is still getting worked out because we need to finalize all the speakers, the dates, and so on. But coming to the website, one can register. It's entirely free of charge, like I said. So all of this will happen. It will end, the 3 months will kind of end, let's say early January or so. In parallel, we intend having a business plan competition for the cultural entrepreneurs, and which will culminate in a pitch contest, which will happen on Jan 26th, which is, Republic Day of India, where they will pitch to an eminent jury. There will be prize money that we will have, as well as certificates and all of it. So that will kind of be like phase 0 for NICE. And I'll tell you why we are doing this. We are doing this simply because, just like in the early days of other entrepreneur ecosystem building, we need to be able to calibrate and get a sense of what kinds of entrepreneurs exist across
Yeah.
sectors, how deep is that entrepreneur pool, what is their state of readiness to grow, and the maturity levels with regard to, let's say, have you set up the right kind of legal structure? Have you already raised money? All of the things that investors and others will want to look at, right? I mean, are you too
Yeah.
invested or are you well placed? Things like that. We will use these months to get a sense of all of it, about where exactly does this state of cultural entrepreneurship lie. It'll help us get a sense. Because today in the typical entrepreneur startup world, all of us have a good idea about how many entrepreneurs exist, what kind, what capabilities, how they think about it, the typical profile of these people, things like that, right? Because that ecosystem is kind of vibrant and thriving, which, to the best of my knowledge, isn't quite there in this cultural entrepreneurship space, right? So that is kind of what we intend doing through till Jan. Thereafter, and this is not frozen, we haven't finalized this yet. The intention is to raise capital and put in place a team, so to run this organization like an engine and a machine. So we will create the processes, we will create a governance mechanism, all of it, so that every organization, for it to become the institution, needs to have these basic things in place, right? So that on like an engine, it is firing. Let's say, to manage the entrepreneurs and to do the reach outs. How do you manage investors? How do you run multiple chapters across the country? Various elements, right? There's a research piece, there's a policy advocacy piece, there's a partnership piece, right? All of these have to start running and firing. So all of this we will put in place, and hopefully have it, ready to rumble sometime in around Q1 of next year.
A question here again, in terms of, because this is very important, what is happening, what you're building with NICE, and it's so required in our country right now. Because I've been also speaking to a lot of entrepreneurs, people, and we always think, oh, if we are traveling to US or we are traveling to wherever, why don't we see an Indian apparel brand, right? Like across chain, we have H&M, we have Gaps and Zara's coming, but why we have such amazing material? So in different categories, and you are today saying that you building a structure, a platform where some of these companies, some of the next big brands out of India, which has Indianness, rooted in Indianness, can be created. I want to understand from you, in terms of the scale that you're envisaging, and because the point is, I believe, and I could be wrong, that these businesses can be large. Don't you feel that these businesses can be large?
Yeah, see, it's like this, Shraddha. And one of the things that I had to also consciously think through myself was that the stratospheric valuations and the super quick time within which, quote unquote, startups get valued, which is a valuation based objective as opposed to actually solving a problem or building a sustainable business, right? Now that model is not suited for this sector at all, right? We need to
Yeah.
disabuse ourselves of that notion that in 2 years I will build a $1 billion valued company, and that is not what the objective is. The objective is to build, first and foremost, a successful business, and a successful business is got to be sustainable. Number two is, it will take time. It is not something that is going to happen in 2 years. If you look at Amul, right? Amul is a $5 billion business today, but it is 76 years old. You take a Fab India, which is close to 50 years old, right? Now, thanks to technology, thanks to multiple enabling conditions, what will happen is you will be able to build branded, successful businesses in a much shorter period of time. But that is not going to be 2 years. It will be more likely in the 5 to 10 year cycle, because now you've got multiple investors coming in. The market is there for people to consume. You're able to dovetail into global supply chains, multiple things like that. which leads me to believe that over a 5 to 10 year horizon, you can build successful businesses in this space, right? And so the thinking is that, and therefore people who want to approach this like in a traditional tech startup mindset, need to first rethink their investment criteria and priorities, right? That's very, very important, because this is a very, very different sector. It's a new way of thinking about the sector. The other point I wanted to make to you, Shraddha, was this entire so-called cultural economy has been run on the basis of NGOs and the development sector interventions, right? Which is much needed given the category itself. Whether it is capacity building, whether it is training, whether it is, educating people on financial literacy. There are like a myriad problems, right? That is on the supply side of the house. But there is a massive demand side as well, problem that needs to be solved. How do you create a brand? How do you craft a value proposition? How do you bring in modern design elements into a product? How do you use technology, right? If you talk to people, you'll see that people say, hey, you know what, the same handicraft, the same garment design, the same toys, for example, right? Nothing has changed. It's been the same, right? But for you to now cater to the new world, you have to bring in a lot of the market elements, which is what I call the demand side elements to this, right? Now that intervention is also what is important. And we hope to be able to find those entrepreneurs or nurture those entrepreneurs who bring in that understanding as well. Because on the supply side, there are lots and lots and lots of groups that are already working with multiple collectives, right?
Yeah.
The other part of this, which is also an important element, is that in any business, you look at the balance sheets of any business, okay? R&D, capacity building, which is a lot of the back-end work, tends to be no more than about 30% of that business costs in the long term. It is actually the market facing, whether it is sales, it's marketing, it's business development, customer support, understanding customer insight, segmentation, that constitutes the bulk of the entire effort and energy.
How important would be the focus on design? Because when you look at the space that you are going after, this and all the categories, I think somewhere the design element would be very crucial, because we have the ingredients. And I think scale, like you were saying, the sales, marketing, packaging, design would be crucial. How are you looking at that?
So design certainly is a very, very important element of this, right? And so there are two parts to this: design for design's sake, design for functional and brand or product enhancement. So at one end, you've got outfits like a Frog Design or an IDEO and all that, right? Who conceptually redesign products. And you look at all the furniture, all the other stuff around the world, it comes out of a solid design aesthetic, right?
Yeah.
So what we are going to be doing as part of this ecosystem, right? We will be having partnerships with multiple design schools and institutions and folks like that, as well as individual top class designers. We will have as part of the ecosystem, because end of the day, the design aesthetic and element is a marriage between the entrepreneur who's got a vision or a view about the product or service or experience, and the expertise and experience of the designer. So those two have to mesh, right?
Yeah.
And it's not for us to impose our aesthetic on something, which is not our goal at all. It is for the ecosystem to find the ways of collaboration. We will provide the mechanisms to collaborate, share, and do peer learning and things like that. Okay.
Yeah.
And that is the whole point. That it is important, but it's not for us to dictate. It's just like, is money important? Yes, but it's not for us to write checks and determine which is a valuable business or not. You need digital marketing. It's not for us to decide, right? So that's the kind of thinking that we want to employ.
The digital rails we had with, we have a strong digital rails now, and with NICE, what you're trying to create is a cultural heritage, Indianness based rails for entrepreneurs to build large businesses, build large outcomes.
Exactly. So like Kiran said earlier, think of it as an intangible bus or a pipe, to use some computer terminology, where everybody else hangs off this bus, This bus is an information bus. It's a process bus. It is a code of conduct bus, right? It is a knowledge bus that is shared by everybody. But people sort of hang off this, use it for their own sakes, interact with each other, collaborate and share and give back. So one of the things that I have learned is that this giving back or pay forward, which is such an important part of Silicon Valley and such an important part of many of our own successful, let's say, ecosystem efforts, right, is something that we need to be able to bring back and give back into this new ecosystem that we are attempting to create.
Wow. Last, now that we are talking today, when you're going to launch NICE and it's going live, I want to ask, how would you measure? And I don't want to put a framework, or I don't want to put it as a like a like a VC question, but how are you going to define your success? And you'd say, hey, we did this and it mattered and
See,
it was good.
Ultimately, Shraddha, NICE exists for the sake of creating successful businesses run by entrepreneurs, right? That's the foundational element. So hence our success, independent of what all activities that we do, people will not care. If I say that I did this activity, I did that activity, I did this event or that event, what is the outcome, right? That is basically the question. So our measure of outcome will be how many successful businesses have we been able to launch? Meaning, is that business successful? To our investors being attracted to it or funding it or something? That is the first measure and the most important measure of success. Subsequently, whether a business goes and becomes IPO or not, or gets bought or not, is not of that interest to us, right? Because it's like this, like Vinod Khosla says, if I need to take 1,000 shots at goal, only then one will go in, right?
Yeah.
You cannot shoot once and expect the ball to go in. So similarly, we need to have thousands of these businesses emerge. And of them, in a typical pyramid structure, some will rise up the ranks. Some will become very, very successful international. Some will be in the middle. Some will be at the bottom. Some will even die. So that's the nature of the business, right? So we are aware of that. But our intention is to measure by the number of successful businesses we are able to create.
Yeah, yeah. And last, before I let you both go, I want to understand, especially in India now, with so many things, so many different conversations happening. If you had to say Indian culture, आज के date में हम कहेंगे कि Indian culture, Indianness, and being Indian क्या है? So what will you say?
Like in all things about India, there is no one definition that suits, right? The old joke that you pick any word from a dictionary that's applicable to India, the opposite is also true. Okay. So Indianness by itself is something that is holistic, that is inclusive, that is fundamentally plural in its thinking, right? And is rooted in a very coarse civilizational ethos, right? And and that is it's about a spirit, it's about a thinking, it's about a way of life. And even the Supreme Court has struggled to define what is this Indianness. And it is a, and when people have argued all kinds of things, saying that India is just a unnatural geographical entity, and all kinds of folks have tried to frame it in their way, but which is the entirely incorrect way of thinking about it, because it is a way of thinking, it's a way of living, it's a way of doing things, right? So trying to straitjacket it into one single line, that tomorrow somebody will say, Acha, but you're not doing this, and therefore are you actually in, that kind of thing. I don't want to wade into that kind of a conversation. But like Peter Drucker said, it is very hard to define what is integrity, but the lack of integrity is obvious.
Yeah.
You understand? So
all the very best. I think it's a very important milestone that we are having NICE in our country, and to many nice things and many nice outcomes when it comes to Indian heritage, Indian culture led businesses with NICE.
Thank you so much, Shraddha, for this. This is really wonderful. I hope it reaches as many entrepreneurs and policymakers and others as possible, investors and everyone else. And I hope to have a lot more updates for you when we speak next. Thank you so much.